I've got a different story for you today. Now this is a story that I used to read whenever I was a little girl. And it's about another little girl called Molly Mandy. Now Molly Mandy lives in a village. So here is the village that she lives in. So here is the nice white cottage with a thatched roof. And that's where Molly Mandy lives. Here is Mrs. Moggs' cottage. And that's where her little friend Susan and baby Moggs lives. Here we have the forge and Mr. Blunt's corn shop, where Billy Blunt lives. The postman's cottage, the grocer's shop, the baker, the school and the teacher's cottage, the big house, Mrs. Muggin's shop, where Jilly lives. And have I got anything else? Looks like a farm over here. Oh, and this is the shortcut from school. So this is Molly Mandy's house, and she can go through the field, and cross the road to school. So that is the village where Molly Mandy lives. So let's find out some things about Molly Mandy. Once upon a time, there was a little girl. She had a father, a mother, a grandpa and a grandma, an uncle and an auntie, and they all lived together in a nice white cottage with a thatched roof. This little girl had short hair and short legs and short frocks or dresses. They were pink and white striped cotton in the summer and red in the winter. But her name wasn't short at all. It was Millicent Margaret Amanda. But father and mother and grandpa and grandma and uncle and auntie couldn't very well call out Millicent Margaret Amanda every time they wanted her, so they shortened it to Molly Mandy, which is quite easy to say. Now, everybody in the nice white cottage with a thatched roof had some particular job to do, even Molly Mandy. And what was her job? Well, Molly Mandy's legs were short, as I've told you, but they were very lively, just right for running errands. So, Molly Mandy was quite busy fetching and carrying things and taking messages. One fine day, Molly Mandy was in her garden playing with Toby the dog, when father poked his head out from the other side of a big row of beans and said, Molly Mandy, run down to Mr. Moggs' cottage and ask for the trowel he borrowed from me. So Molly Mandy said, yes, father, and ran in to get her hat. At the kitchen door was mother with a basket of eggs in her hand. And when she saw Molly Mandy, she said, Molly Mandy, run down to Mrs. Moggs and give her these eggs. She's got visitors. So Molly Mandy said, yes, mother, and took the basket. Trowel for father, eggs for mother, she thought to herself. Then Grandpa came up and said, Molly Mandy, please get me a ball of string from Miss Muggin's shop. Here's a penny. So Molly Mandy said, yes, Grandpa, and took the penny, thinking to herself, trowel for father, eggs for mother, string for Grandpa. As she passed through the kitchen, Grandma, who was sitting in her armchair knitting, said, Molly Mandy, will you get me a ball of red wool? Here's a sixpence. So Molly Mandy said, yes, Grandma, and took the sixpence, which was like a very old-fashioned penny. Trowel for father, eggs for mother, string for Grandpa, red wool for Grandma, she whispered to herself over and over. As she went into the passage, Uncle came striding up in a hurry. Oh, Molly Mandy, said Uncle, run like a good girl to Mr. Blunt's shop and tell him I'm waiting for the chicken feed he promised to send. So Molly Mandy said, yes, Uncle, and thought to herself, trowel for father, eggs for mother, string for grandpa, red wool for grandma, chicken feed for uncle. As she got her hat off the peg, Auntie called from the parlour where she was dusting. "Is that Molly Mandy? Will you get me a packet of needles, dear? Here's a penny." So Molly Mandy said, "Yes, Auntie," and took the penny, thinking to herself, trowel for father, eggs for mother, string for grandpa, red wool for grandma, chicken feed for uncle, needles for Auntie, and I do hope there won't be anything more. And look, here is a picture of the family. So there is Grandpa and Grandma, father and mother, uncle, Auntie, and here is Molly Mandy. So off she goes on her errands. But there was nothing else. So Molly Mandy started out down the path. When she came to the gate, Toby the dog capered up, looking very excited at the thought of a walk. But Molly Mandy eyed him solemnly and said, trowel for father, eggs for mother, string for grandpa, red wool for grandma, chicken feed for uncle, needles for Auntie. No, Toby, you mustn't come now. I've too much to think about, but I promise to take you for a walk when I come back. So she left Toby on the other side of the gate and set off down the road with a basket and the pennies and the sixpence. Presently she met a little friend, and the little friend said, "Hello, Molly Mandy, I've got a new seesaw. Do come and play on it with me." But Molly Mandy looked at her solemnly and said, trowel for father, eggs for mother, string for grandpa, red wool for grandma, chicken feed for uncle, needles for Auntie. No, Susan, I can't come now. I'm busy. But I'd like to come when I get back, after I've taken Toby for a walk. So Molly Mandy went on her way with her basket and the pennies and the sixpence. Soon she came to the Moggs cottage. "Please, Mrs. Moggs, can I have the trowel for father? And here are some eggs for mother," she said. Mrs. Moggs was very much obliged indeed for the eggs, and fetched the trowel and a piece of seed cake for Molly Mandy's own self. And Molly Mandy went on her way with the empty basket. Next she came to Miss Muggins' little shop. "Please, Miss Muggins, can I have a ball of string for Grandpa and a ball of red wool for Grandma?" So Miss Muggins put the string and the wool into Molly Mandy's basket and took a penny and a sixpence in exchange. So that left Molly Mandy with 1 penny. And Molly Mandy couldn't remember what the penny was for. Can you remember what it was for? "Sweeties, perhaps," said Miss Muggins, glancing at the row of glass bottles on the shelf. But Molly Mandy shook her head. "No," she said, "and it can't be chicken feed for Uncle, because that would be more than a penny, only I haven't got to pay for it." "It must be sweeties," said Miss Muggins. "No," said Molly Mandy, "but I'll remember soon. Good morning, Miss Muggins." So Molly Mandy went on to Mr. Blunt's and gave him Uncle's message, and then she sat down on the doorstep and thought about what the penny could be for. She couldn't remember, but she remembered one thing. "It's for Auntie," she thought, "and I love Auntie." She thought for just a little while longer. Then suddenly she sprang up and went back to Miss Muggins' shop. "I've remembered," she said. Can you remember? It's needles for Auntie. So Miss Muggins put a packet of needles into the basket and took the penny, and Molly Mandy ran off home. "That's a good little messenger to remember all those things," said Mother when she got there. They were just about to begin dinner. "I thought you were only going for my eggs." "She went for my trowel," said Father. "And my string," said Grandpa. "And my wool," said Grandma. "And my chicken feed," said Uncle. "And my needles," said Auntie. Then they all laughed, and Grandpa, feeling in his pocket, said, "Well, here's another errand for you. Go and get yourself some sweeties." So, after dinner, Toby had a nice walk and his mistress got her sweets. And then Millie, Molly Mandy and little friend Susan had a lovely time in the seesaw, chatting and eating raspberry chops and feeling very happy and contented indeed. So that is the first story about Millie, Molly Mandy. I've got lots of stories about her, so I hope you enjoyed that one. And maybe you could see how helpful you could be by running some errands for whoever lives at home, helping a little bit around the house, finding some little jobs to do. So take care, and I'll see you next time.